What is going on, everybody? This is your boy, back out with another review. And today we're continuing our Fantastic Four review series. Of course, this will all be leading up to the newest Fantastic Four film, Fantastic Four for First Steps. And today we will be reviewing the first Tim Story Fantastic Four movie. That, of course, being the Fantastic Four from 2005. But before you get into the actual beginning of the review itself, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Because number one, it's absolutely free. Number two, also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm. And I recommend the video to more people. Maybe they could join. And do feel free to comment your thoughts on Fantastic Four from 2005 down below. But that being said, guys, let's get right to we're going to screw me. Let's give a quick plot synopsis of the film, shall we? Some transition issues, yeah.
Scientist Reed Richards persuades his arrogant former classmate Victor Von Doom to fund his experiments with cosmic energy. On Von Doom's space station, the crew, including astronaut Ben Grimm, researcher Sue Storm, and pilot Johnny Storm, are exposed to a mysterious cosmic storm that bestows superpowers upon them. As they cope with their transformations, Von Doom vows his revenge.
So for those who watched my Superman review series and my Superman Returns review, as I said in that video, when I was younger, I was very obsessed with superheroes. I'm still obsessed with superheroes now, but not as much as when I was younger. Because when I was younger, I had a bunch of different movies, since I loved superheroes so much, that were in my constant rewatch cabinets that I would watch over and over and over again, pretty much. I don't know how many times, but I watched them a lot of times. We'll just say that. So the one of the movies that I just mentioned was Superman Returns. There was Batman Begins, The Incredible Hulk from 2008, Iron Man, and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man trilogy. And then it would be the two Tim Story Fantastic Four movies, which we're about to talk about today, and hopefully tomorrow as well, with Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer. So, this was one of those movies I watched constantly. Let's see if it still holds up or not, or my taste when I was younger was woof. Alright, so starting off with good for Fantastic Four from 2005, I have the cast. I think the cast that you have in this movie are extremely underrated.
I think Julian McMahon does a good job as Dr. Doom, rest in peace. Ian Groford does a decent job as Mr. Fantastic. And I know people like to hate on Jessica Alba's performance as Invisible Woman, but I should think she does decent.
For me, easily the two best casting choices in this movie, I think, are honestly some of the most underrated comic book castings of all time. That would be first Michael Chiklis as the Thing in these two movies, and he has a pretty decent arc throughout both of them. And then also there's Chris Evans as Human Torch, a couple years before he became Captain America. So, honestly, this is a hot take of mine. I think that his portrayal of Johnny Storm as the Human Torch or whatever is honestly tied, if not better, than his performance as Captain America. I'll still say it's tied for now, but he did a phenomenal job at bringing the comic book character to life in this film, and forever, for me, will be my personal favorite Johnny Storm. Unless if Joseph Quinn proves me wrong, which I'm expecting him to do good in the role, don't get me wrong. But I don't think he'll top Chris Evans for me, because Chris Evans I loved in this role. Along with the casting choices and the characters, you also have a nice little team dynamic with this group.
With the accident that happened to them, they became a strong enough family to work together in this whole entire film, which I think adds for a nice dynamic throughout both of these movies, even more in the second one.
A lot of people like to dog on the CGI from this time frame, but I actually think the CGI in these two movies actually is not that bad. I actually think they hold up, especially compared to other comic book films that came out around the same time. Daredevil, which, even though I like Daredevil, the CGI in that was pretty rough. And in these two movies, the CGI is actually pretty decent for the most part. So I think that still holds up. And the finale is my final positive of the movie. I think the final fight with Doom is very solid. The teamwork on display is really great, of course, from the Fantastic Four. So you gotta have the teamwork be great if you're adapting the Fantastic Four from the comics. But that is good done. Now let's move on to the mixed aspects. And this isn't necessarily a mixed aspect of mine, but it's the cheesy tone. It's not gonna, because for people that have never seen this movie before, or the people that have seen this movie before, are gonna either totally dig the cheesy tone that it's going for more of some of the comic book accurate stuff, but then as well, there's gonna be a part of the people where it goes like, no, this is too goofy and quirky for me. So it's mostly for the people watching this film. But that's the only mixed aspect I have. Now let's move on to the bad, which I only have really three. I think three, right? Yes, three. So the first one being it feeling as if it is a pilot to the Fantastic Four series, which Sean Chandler did talk about this before, so if you want a more in-depth clip of what he's mentioning here.
When it comes to this movie, I feel like if this was a TV pilot, people would have received it really well and only had positive things to say about it. But it's not a TV pilot, it's a movie, and it doesn't really deliver what you expect from a blockbuster.
I fully do agree. Even though I still really, really like this movie, yes, it feels as if there should be more to this movie, where it's kind of a start to the Fantastic Four TV series. So that's one bad. Then also, as well, the dialogue in here, I don't think it's all necessarily bad, but there's two instances, or there's a couple instances where the dialogue was going like, they're really trying to go with that cheesy vibe now, where I couldn't help but cringe. For example, when Mr. Fantastic is captured by Dr. Doom, and Dr. Doom says, "Here's a lesson, Reed Richards, Chemistry 101. Like, I know you're trying to go for that vibe, but still, that doesn't fit in the moment right there. So, if it was a cartoon, yes, it would fit. But in live action, no. Sorry, no. And the final negative I have in here is how it rushes past some story beats in the movie. So, for the most part, this film actually does do a pretty decent job at sticking at one point in the story, then going to the next one, and giving it equals amount of time. But then there's some little tiny instances where it kind of breezes past something. For example, when Ben loses his powers.
And there's a couple extra little tiny examples where they bring up a plot point, but they don't focus on it for a very, very long time.
Other than that, really, I don't have any other negative things to say about this movie. With that being said, let's bring out the Toxic Mita. And this gets Toxic Goodness for me. I've always enjoyed the Fantastic Four from 2005, and to extent, spoilers from my review of Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, I still enjoyed that one, even though that one's more flawed than this one, in my personal opinion, of course. So I've always enjoyed these two movies, and I never understood the overwhelming amount of hate that these get, because I think that these are out of the movies that came out during that early 2000s period before the MCU came along. I think for certain these are one of the better ones during that time frame. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's just my thoughts on Tim Story's Fantastic Four from 2005. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on this film down below. But with that being said, guys, I'll see you on the next one, everybody. Peace.